My name is June and I'm 24 years old. What I'm about to tell you will sound like something out of a nightmare, but every single word is true. It was a Tuesday evening when my world literally came crashing down. I was visiting my childhood home, carrying a box of my grandmother's jewelry that I'd inherited. The wooden stairs creaked under my feet as I climbed to the second floor, just like they had when I was little. That's when I heard Emma's voice behind me. "Hey June." My 26-year-old sister's tone was sickeningly sweet, which should have been my first warning. Before I could turn around, I felt her hands slam into my back with brutal force. The world spun as I tumbled down 15 wooden steps, the jewelry box flying from my hands and scattering precious family heirlooms across the hardwood floor. But here's the part that still makes my blood boil. As I lay there groaning, my ribs screaming in pain, I heard my father's voice from the living room. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was counting each step I'd fallen, his laughter echoing through the house like a sick soundtrack to my agony. 15, he called out, clapping his hands. That's gotta be a new record. Emma joined in his laughter, stepping over me like I was nothing more than debris. "Oops," she said with mock innocence. "Guess you should watch where you're going." That moment changed everything between us forever. As I lay there bleeding, memories flooded back. Emma had always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. While I worked 2 jobs through college, she got a brand new car for her 16th birthday. While I paid my own rent, she lived in the family's guest house rent-free. "Get up, drama queen," Emma sneered, stepping around my sprawled body. "You're making a mess of Mom's clean floor." I struggled to my feet, my left wrist throbbing. Several pieces of Grandma's jewelry were broken, including her pearl necklace that had been in our family for 3 generations. The clasp had snapped and tiny pearls rolled across the floor like tears. "Look what you made me do," I whispered, my voice shaking as I tried to gather the scattered pieces. "I didn't make you do anything," Emma replied, examining her manicured nails. "You tripped. Happens to clumsy people all the time." Dad emerged from the living room, still chuckling. "You should have seen your face, June. Priceless." He was a tall man with graying temples, wearing the expensive polo shirt I'd bought him for Father's Day. "Maybe next time you'll be more careful." That's when it hit me. This wasn't an accident. The way they were both acting, the casual cruelty, the complete lack of concern for my injuries. This was planned. They wanted to hurt me and they were enjoying every second of it. My phone buzzed with a text from my boyfriend Dylan. "How's the family visit going?" I looked at the broken jewelry, my bleeding palms, and my sister's satisfied smirk. How could I even begin to explain this nightmare? The next morning, I dragged myself to the emergency room. My wrist had swollen to twice its normal size, and every breath sent sharp pains through my ribs. The X-rays revealed a fractured wrist and 2 cracked ribs. "How did this happen?" Dr. Williams asked, studying the films with concern. "I fell down some stairs," I said quietly, avoiding his eyes. He gave me a knowing look. 15 steps based on the impact patterns. That's quite a fall. Are you safe at home?" I wanted to scream that no, I wasn't safe anywhere near my family, but instead I just nodded. The medical bills would cost me $3,000. Money I didn't have as a freelance graphic designer still building my business. When I called Emma to tell her about my injuries, her response was chilling. "Well, maybe you'll think twice before being so clumsy next time. Dad and I were just talking about how accident-prone you've always been." "Accident-prone?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You pushed me." "Prove it," she said with a laugh. "It's your word against ours and we both saw you trip. Maybe you should lay off the wine at family dinners." That's when I realized the full scope of their cruelty. They weren't just going to hurt me, they were going to gaslight me about it, make me question my own reality. But they made one crucial mistake. They underestimated me. I hung up the phone and opened my laptop. If they wanted to play games, I was about to show them what a real player looked like. Over the next week, while my ribs healed, I did what I do best: research. And what I discovered made my stomach turn. Emma wasn't just the perfect daughter she pretended to be. She was a fraud on a massive scale. I started with social media, where she flaunted her successful marketing career. But when I dug deeper, cross-referencing her claimed employment with LinkedIn and company websites, nothing added up. The company she claimed to work for had no record of her. The marketing campaigns she took credit for belonged to other people. Then I found her real source of income. She was running an elaborate catfishing scheme, using stolen photos to con lonely men out of thousands of dollars. Her PayPal account, which I accessed through a password she'd used for years, showed deposits from 17 different men, totaling over $40,000 in the past 6 months. But the real bombshell came when I discovered she was stealing from Dad too. She had somehow gained access to his business account and had been skimming money for years. Small amounts at first, 50 here, 100 there. But it had escalated. In the past month alone, she'd stolen over $5,000. I sat back in my desk chair, my healing wrist aching as I scrolled through the evidence. Screenshots, bank records, fake profiles. I had it all. They thought they could destroy me with one push down the stairs. They had no idea what destruction really looked like. My phone rang. It was Dylan. "How are you feeling, baby?" "Much better," I said, and for the first time in a week I meant it. "Actually, I'm feeling powerful." The plan came to me like a gift from the universe. Dad owned a small but successful landscaping business, and every month he hosted a client appreciation barbecue at the house. All his biggest clients would be there. The country club, the mayor's wife, several prominent families who trusted him with their estates. I called Emma, keeping my voice sweet and apologetic. "Hey sis, I've been thinking about what happened and you're right. I was being clumsy. I'm sorry for making such a big deal about it." There was a pause. "Well, it's about time you admitted it. I want to make it up to you and Dad. How about I help with the barbecue this weekend? I could design new business cards for Dad, maybe help with the setup." "I guess that would be okay," she said, her tone softening. "Dad's been stressed about the event. Mrs. Patterson is coming. You know, the one with the $10 million estate." "Perfect. I'll be there early to help set up." "And Emma, thank you for being so understanding about everything." After I hung up, I organized all my evidence into a neat digital package. Screenshots of the fake profiles, bank records showing the stolen money, proof of her lies about her job. Everything laid out in a clear, undeniable timeline. But I wasn't going to just expose her privately. Oh no, that would be too easy. I created a simple website, using my professional design skills to make it look clean and credible. The domain name was perfect, TheraLemmaJohnson.com. Every piece of evidence was there, organized by category with dates and documentation. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for the perfect moment to spring it. Saturday arrived with perfect weather, sunny and warm, ideal for Dad's barbecue. I showed up 2 hours early, wearing a sundress that hid my still healing bruises and a smile that hid my intentions. June. Dad greeted me with a hug that made my ribs ache. "Emma said you wanted to help out today. That's real nice of you." "Of course, Dad. Family first, right?" Emma emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray of appetizers, looking stunning in a white designer dress I now knew she'd bought with stolen money. "Oh good, you're here. You can help me carry things outside." As guests began arriving, I watched Emma work the crowd like a professional. She chatted with Mrs. Patterson about her successful marketing career, told the mayor's wife about the amazing campaign she'd just finished, and accepted compliments on her dress with gracious smiles. Dad beamed with pride as he introduced his successful daughters to potential clients. "Emma here runs her own marketing firm," he boasted. "And June's a graphic designer. I'm blessed with 2 talented girls." I smiled and nodded, playing the part perfectly while inside I was counting down the minutes. At exactly 3 o'clock, when the party was in full swing and everyone had their phones out taking pictures, I made my move. "Excuse me, everyone," I called out, tapping my fork against a glass. "I have something special to share." The crowd gathered around, expecting some sweet family announcement. Dad and Emma both looked pleased, thinking I was about to give some heartfelt speech about family forgiveness. They were so wrong. "I want to tell you all about my sister Emma," I began, my voice carrying clearly across the yard. "She's truly one of a kind." Emma preened, expecting praise. Dad nodded approvingly. "In fact, she's so unique that she's managed to create an entire fake life." I pulled out my phone, opening the website I'd created. "Everyone, please take out your phones and go to TheraLemmaJohnson.com. You're going to want to see this." The color drained from Emma's face. "June, what are you doing?" "I'm telling the truth for once in this family," I said, my voice growing stronger. "Did you know that the marketing company Emma claims to work for has never heard of her? Did you know she's been catfishing lonely men out of thousands of dollars?" Gasps rippled through the crowd as people pulled up the website on their phones. Mrs. Patterson's eyes widened as she scrolled through the evidence. And Dad, I continued, turning to face him directly, did you know your precious golden child has been stealing from your business account? Over $5,000 just this month alone. Dad's face went from confusion to horror as he stared at his phone screen. This can't be real. Oh, it's real, I said, feeling a surge of power I'd never experienced before. Every screenshot, every bank record, every lie. It's all documented right there. Emma finally found her voice, but it came out as a desperate shriek. She's lying. She's making this all up because she's jealous. But the evidence spoke for itself. I watched as Dad scrolled through the bank records, his face growing darker with each swipe. Mrs. Patterson was showing the fake profiles to other guests, their shocked whispers filling the air. The best part, I said, my voice now steady and calm, is that this is all public now. The website is already ranking in search results for her name. The party ended in chaos. Guests fled like they were escaping a crime scene, clutching their phones and whispering among themselves. Mrs. Patterson pulled Dad aside before leaving. I'm sorry, but I can't continue doing business with someone whose family I can't trust, she said loud enough for everyone to hear. I'll be needing my deposit back. 3 other major clients followed suit within the hour. Dad stood in the middle of the destroyed party, staring at his phone in disbelief. Emma, please tell me this isn't true. Please tell me you didn't steal from me. Emma's mask finally slipped completely. It wasn't stealing, she screamed. You owe me. You've given me nothing my whole life while she gets everything. I've given you nothing? Dad's voice was deadly quiet. I've paid your rent, your car payments, your insurance. I gave you a job, a place to live. A job I never wanted. A life I never asked for. Emma was spiraling now, saying things she could never take back. You think I wanted to live in your shadow, pretending to be grateful for scraps? I stood there watching the explosion I'd orchestrated, feeling a mix of satisfaction and something else. Something that might have been sadness. This was my sister after all. But then I remembered the sound of Dad counting my steps as I fell, and the sadness evaporated. Dylan had arrived during the chaos and now stood beside me, his arm protectively around my waist. You did the right thing, he whispered. I know, I replied, and I meant it. The truth had finally come out and there was no putting it back. By Sunday morning, the website had been shared dozens of times across social media. Local Facebook groups were buzzing with gossip about that landscaping family and their drama. Dad's phone rang constantly, mostly clients canceling their contracts. I arrived at the house to find Dad sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork and looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Emma was nowhere to be seen. She's gone, he said without looking up. Packed her bags and left around midnight. But not before cleaning out the last of the petty cash. He showed me the empty cash box. $200 that had been meant for employee payments, gone. Dad, I'm sorry it had to happen this way. No. His voice cut through my apology. Don't apologize for telling the truth. I'm the one who should be sorry. He finally looked at me and I saw something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Shame. I failed you both. But especially you. This wasn't the conversation I'd expected to have. The night she pushed you down the stairs, he continued, I knew it wasn't an accident. I saw her do it. And I laughed because I thought it was funny to see you get knocked down a peg. The admission hit me harder than the fall had. Why? Because you reminded me of your mother. Independent, successful, didn't need anyone. It threatened me, so I favored Emma because she needed me. He pushed a bank statement across the table. She's stolen over $30,000 from me in the past 2 years. I stared at the numbers, feeling a strange mix of vindication and heartbreak. What are you going to do? I'm going to press charges, he said firmly. And I'm going to try to save what's left of my business if I can. Within a week, the police had issued a warrant for Emma's arrest on charges of fraud and theft. She'd fled to another state, but her digital footprint made her easy to track. The catfishing victims had started coming forward too, and the FBI was now involved. Dad's business was hanging by a thread. He'd lost 60% of his clients, and the ones who remained were nervous about being associated with the scandal. He'd had to let go of 3 employees and put the house up for sale. I don't blame you, he told me as we sat in his lawyer's office. You did what you had to do to protect yourself. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Ms. Taylor, was optimistic about the criminal case. With this level of documentation, your sister is looking at serious jail time. The federal charges alone could mean 5 to 10 years. But I was struggling with an unexpected emotion: guilt. Watching Dad's entire life crumble was harder than I'd anticipated. The civil suit against her will help recover some of the stolen money, Ms. Taylor continued, but realistically, she's probably spent most of it. Your father might recover 20 cents on the dollar if he's lucky. After the meeting, Dad and I sat in his truck in the parking lot. I know I don't deserve to ask this, he said, but is there any way you could take the website down? I'm not trying to protect her. I just need to try to rebuild somehow. I looked at this broken man who had counted my steps as I fell, who had laughed at my pain, who had chosen his golden child over me my entire life. And I realized something that surprised me. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted justice, and justice was already being served. 3 days later, my phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Miss Taylor. Emma's been arrested, she said without preamble. But there's something else. She's claiming you framed her. I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. What do you mean? She's saying you hacked her accounts and planted the evidence. She's hired a lawyer and they're claiming the whole thing is an elaborate revenge plot. My blood ran cold. But that's insane. I have documentation going back months. I know, and her story doesn't hold up. But her lawyer is good and they're going to make this messy. They're also claiming that you pushed her to steal the money through years of psychological abuse. I almost laughed at the irony. So now I'm the abuser? They're going to try to paint you as a master manipulator who drove your sister to crime and then framed her for it. It's a desperate strategy, but desperate people do unpredictable things. After hanging up, I sat in my kitchen staring at my coffee and trying to process this new development. Dylan found me there an hour later, still in my pajamas. What's wrong? He asked, immediately sensing my mood. Emma's claiming I'm the real villain in all this. I filled him in on the conversation with the lawyer. That's ridiculous. Anyone who knows you. But they don't know me, I interrupted. The jury won't know me. They'll just see a woman who systematically destroyed her sister's life and exposed her family's secrets to the world. Dylan sat down beside me. Are you having second thoughts? I considered the question seriously. No, I'm not. But I'm realizing this fight is far from over. The trial began on a gray October morning. I sat in the front row, watching Emma enter in handcuffs, wearing an orange jumpsuit that made her look younger and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. Her lawyer was good. I had to give him that. He painted a picture of a troubled young woman driven to desperation by a controlling, manipulative sister who had always been the family favorite despite appearances. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he said during opening statements, this case isn't about theft or fraud. It's about a sophisticated campaign of psychological warfare designed to destroy a young woman's life. He presented a different narrative entirely. In his version, I was the golden child who had always been jealous of Emma's natural beauty and charm. He claimed I'd manipulated our parents against her, isolated her from opportunities, and finally driven her to steal as a form of desperate rebellion. The defendant's sister didn't just expose these alleged crimes, he continued. She orchestrated them. She pushed Emma into these desperate actions and then documented them for her own twisted purposes. I watched the jury's faces as he spoke. Some looked skeptical, but others seemed to be buying into his story. The prosecutor, Mr. Hayes, did his best to counter with the evidence, but Emma's lawyer was skilled at creating doubt. Then Emma took the stand. She'd learned to cry on command, apparently. Tears streamed down her face as she told her version of events. How I'd always been Dad's real favorite, how I'd systematically undermined her confidence and opportunities, how she'd only started catfishing men because she was desperate and alone. I never meant to hurt anyone, she sobbed. I just wanted to feel like I mattered to someone. It was a masterful performance. And it was working. But then the prosecution played their ace card. The security footage. Your Honor, Mr. Hayes announced, we have video evidence that directly contradicts the defendant's testimony. It turned out Dad had installed security cameras after a break in the previous year. The camera in the hallway had captured everything. Emma pushing me down the stairs, Dad counting my steps and laughing, and most damning of all, their conversation afterward. Did you see her face when she hit the bottom? Emma's voice was clear on the recording. I've been waiting to do that for years. She deserved it, Dad replied. Always acting like she's better than us. The courtroom was dead silent as the video played. I watched Emma's face crumble as her lies fell apart in real time. Even her lawyer looked defeated. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. As the judge sentenced Emma to 6 years in federal prison, she finally looked at me with something other than fake tears or manipulative charm. She looked at me with pure, undiluted hatred. This isn't over, she mouthed silently. But it was. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked if I felt vindicated. I feel free, I said simply. For the first time in my life, I feel completely free. Dad had been waiting by his truck. We'd barely spoken during the trial, but now he walked over to me. I'm selling the house and moving to Florida, he said. Starting over completely. And June. He paused, struggling with the words. I'm proud of you. You're stronger than I ever was. 6 months later, my graphic design business was thriving. The story had gone viral, bringing me clients who admired my courage. Dad and I talked once a week now, real conversations, not the stilted small talk of before. And Emma? She was learning that actions have consequences, finally understanding that the world doesn't owe her anything. As for me, kept the website up. Not out of revenge, but as a reminder that truth matters. That standing up for yourself matters. And that sometimes, the best revenge is simply refusing to let people treat you badly. I was finally truly free. I keep going back and forth on this one. Was June absolutely right to protect her peace, or did she give up too easily on people who might have changed? Tell me what you really think below. And if you want more stories about people choosing self-respect over keeping the peace, subscribe. You're going to love what I have planned.